Something has been living in the forests of North America for longer than records exist. Indigenous communities across the continent documented it centuries before European settlers arrived. The Lakota called it Chietanka. The Lumi Nation called it Tsimekwes. The Tsailas people of British Columbia built their entire spiritual understanding of the wilderness around its existence. These were not isolated stories. They were consistent, geographically widespread, and spoken by people who had no contact with each other. Then the cameras arrived. What followed over the next 100 years is a collection of footage that no laboratory, no film analyst, and no wildlife expert has ever been able to definitively explain. Not all of it, not the best of it. The 5 pieces of footage you are about to hear described are the ones that have survived every attempt to dismiss them. They are the ones where the witnesses were credible, the details were specific, and the evidence left behind was physical. This is what was caught on camera, and this is what it means. October 20th, 1967, Bluff Creek, Northern California. Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin are on horseback, moving through a remote stretch of the Six Rivers National Forest. They have been searching this area for weeks. Patterson is a rodeo rider and filmmaker who has been documenting Bigfoot tracks and witness accounts for years. Gimlin is an experienced outdoorsman and tracker. They know this terrain. They know what belongs in it. At approximately 1:15 in the afternoon, their horses suddenly rear in panic. Patterson's horse throws him. He scrambles to his feet, pulls his 16mm Kodak camera from his saddlebag, and runs toward the creek bed where the disturbance came from. What he films in the next 59.5 seconds becomes the most analyzed piece of footage in the history of wildlife documentation. The creature is walking along the edge of the creek bed. It is upright. Its stride is long and unhurried. It is covered in dark, reddish-brown hair across its entire body. At the moment it registers Patterson running toward it, it turns and looks directly at the camera over its left shoulder. That look lasts several seconds. Then it continues walking without breaking stride and disappears into the tree line. The footage was sent immediately to a processing lab in Yakima, Washington. Every frame was examined. What the analysis found over the following decades has never been fully resolved. The creature's height was estimated through triangulation with surrounding trees and verified landmarks at between 6 feet 5 inches and 7 feet 4 inches. Its weight was estimated at between 600 and 800 pounds based on the depth of the footprints it left in the creek bed. Those footprints were 14.5 inches long. They showed a mid-tarsal pressure ridge that does not exist in human feet, but has since been documented in other alleged Bigfoot tracks across North America. Dr. Jeff Meldrum, professor of anatomy and anthropology at Idaho State University, and one of the most credentialed scientists to seriously study this footage, spent years analyzing the biomechanics of what Patterson filmed. His conclusion was that the gait, the muscle movement visible beneath the fur as the creature walks, and the flexion of the limbs during the stride are inconsistent with a human in a suit. The calf muscles, he noted, contract and extend differently than any human leg would allow. The shoulders are disproportionately wide. The arms hang lower than human proportions permit. The creature in the Patterson-Gimlin film has never been identified. No suit matching its construction has ever been produced. No costume designer or effects studio has come forward claiming to have built it. For 60 years, the footage has been examined by zoologists, biomechanical engineers, special effects professionals, and film analysts. None of them have closed the case. Frame 352 is the frame where it looks back at the camera. If you stop the footage there and look at the face, you see something that does not belong to any known species and has never been convincingly replicated. October 2012, Provo Canyon, Utah. A group of friends are camping in the canyon area below Mount Timpanogos when they spot movement in the brush roughly 50 yards up the slope. The footage begins with the camera already pointed at the brush, zoomed in on a large, dark shape in the vegetation. Someone behind the camera whispers, "Do you think it's a bear?" It is a reasonable question. Black bears are common in this part of Utah. The shape in the brush is large and dark and not immediately distinguishable. The group watches. They have been standing there for some time before anyone started filming. Then the shape stands up. It does not stand up the way a black bear stands up. When a bear rises onto its hind legs, it does so with effort, with a rocking motion. the front paws coming up before the rear legs fully extend. This creature goes from a crouched position to fully upright in a single fluid movement. It rises to what witnesses later described as roughly 7 to 8 feet. The shoulders are broad, the arms are long, and for a moment before the camera drops and the footage ends abruptly, it appears to turn in the direction of the group. What happens next is captured in the audio. The camera cuts because the person filming dropped it. The group runs. You can hear the panic in their footsteps, the sound of people moving fast through brush without looking back. The YouTube channel that posted this footage, operating under the handle Beard Card, described the encounter in detail. "We had been standing there for a while," the account reads. "We thought we saw a bear until the monster stood up and looked right at us." The group did not return to retrieve any gear they had left at the campsite that evening. What the footage shows in the seconds before the creature stands is an animal that was perfectly still, aware of the group watching it, making a deliberate choice about when to reveal itself. That behavior is not consistent with a bear. Bears, confronted by a group of humans in an open area, typically move away or make noise. They do not wait quietly in brush and then stand to their full height facing the observers. Provo Canyon sits at the intersection of several long documented Bigfoot sighting corridors running through the Wasatch Range. The Uinta Basin to the northeast has produced more documented sighting reports per square mile than almost any region in the American West. Whatever the group filmed that October evening fits a pattern that has been reported in this part of Utah for generations. 2013, rural Mississippi. Josh Highcliffe is a hunter. He knows the land on his property in Mississippi the way most people know their own living rooms. He has hunted it for years. He knows what moves through it, what sounds it makes at different times of year, which animals pass through at dusk, and which stay through the night. On the evening he captures his footage, he is hunting feral hogs that have been damaging his property. He's dressed in camouflage. He moves quietly. He hears something that does not sound like a hog and moves toward it. What he finds is a large black figure crouched near the base of a tree. It appears to be stripping bark from the trunk or digging at the roots. Highcliffe films it. The creature is absorbed in what it is doing and has not detected him yet. In the footage you can see its back, the width of its shoulders, the length of its arms as they work at the tree. Then it stands. Highcliffe estimated the creature at close to 7 feet when upright. The moment it reaches full height, he stops filming and leaves. He does not describe running in his account. He describes walking away very deliberately because he was afraid that any sudden movement would draw its attention. He posted the footage to YouTube with the description asking for help identifying what he had seen. He stated clearly that he would not return to that section of his property alone. A hog hunter who has been going into those woods his entire life, who knows every animal that lives in Mississippi's forests, encountered something that made him afraid to go back. That is the detail that matters most in this account. Not the footage itself, though the footage is compelling. It is the behavioral response of an experienced outdoorsman who knows precisely what he is looking at and what he is not. Highcliffe never monetized the footage. He did not launch a career from it. He posted it and asked a question, and he stood by his account without elaboration or expansion. People who fabricate these encounters tend to add details over time. Highcliffe did not. 2007, Allegheny National Forest, Pennsylvania. Rick Jacobs is a hunter who has placed a motion sensor trail camera on a tree in a remote part of the Allegheny National Forest in northwestern Pennsylvania. He is not looking for Bigfoot. He is monitoring animal movement to plan his hunting season. The camera captures what he expects: deer, turkey, the normal patterns of wildlife in this section of the forest. And then, on a night in September 2007, it captures something else. The creature approaches the camera on all fours. Its build is not consistent with any known animal in the Allegheny region. It is large, it is covered in dark hair. Its limbs are long relative to its torso. Its head is proportioned differently from a bear, sitting lower and forward on its shoulders. It investigates the camera at close range for several frames before moving off. What makes the Jacobs footage significant beyond its visual content is the context the camera itself provides. The same camera in the same location over the same period captured clear and identifiable photographs of black bear cubs. This eliminates the most common explanation for trail camera Bigfoot footage, that the witness misidentified a bear. The Pennsylvania Bigfoot Society submitted the images to a wildlife biologist and an independent film analyst. Both concluded that the creature in the photographs did not match the morphology of any known animal species native to North America. Its limb ratios, shoulder structure, and head position were inconsistent with bears, primates in captivity, or humans. Jacobs did not seek attention for the photographs. He submitted them for analysis and let the results speak. The images remain unidentified. 2022 Vermont Wilderness. The most recent piece of footage on this list is also the one that arrives with the least room for the usual explanations. A YouTube channel called Ken's Carpentry documents the owner's outdoor activities in the Vermont wilderness. In 2022, the channel operator goes into a wooded area by drone to film a black bear and her 2 cubs that have been spotted in the area. What the drone captures while searching for the bears is a bipedal figure moving through the forest below. The figure is tall, its stride is long. It moves with a forward lean consistent with the posture described in dozens of North American Bigfoot accounts. But the detail that separated this footage from hundreds of similar clips when it went viral was a single moment partway through the clip. The figure stops. It looks up, directly at the drone. A drone flying above tree level produces a very specific sound. Most wildlife does not identify it as a threat, because nothing in their evolutionary experience corresponds to a buzzing object 40 feet overhead. The figure in the Vermont footage not only detects the drone but locates it precisely and holds its gaze on it for several seconds before continuing to walk. That level of awareness, the ability to identify an airborne object as something worth acknowledging, is not a behavior pattern associated with any animal that lives in Vermont's forests. Bears do not look up at drones. Deer do not. Coyotes do not. Whatever the figure is in this footage tracked an unfamiliar sound to its source in the sky and looked directly at it. The footage is short. The figure disappears into tree cover quickly, but in those seconds of the creature looking up at the camera watching it, there is something that does not fit into any existing category of known wildlife behavior. Ken's Carpentry posted the footage without dramatic framing. No music, no slow motion, just the raw clip from the drone and an account of what was being looked for and what was found instead. 100,000 documented sighting reports exist in North America as of the most recent count. Not hundreds, not thousands, 100,000, spanning every U.S. state except Hawaii, every Canadian province, and continuing into parts of northern Mexico. They come from hunters and hikers, and park rangers and state troopers, and wildlife biologists. They come from people with nothing to gain and significant social credibility to lose. The 5 pieces of footage in this video represent the top of that evidence pile. They are the ones where the witnesses had no prior agenda, where the footage survived technical scrutiny, and where the physical evidence left at the scene, the tracks, the tree damage, the disturbed ground, matched what was described. Nobody has ever produced a body. No bones have been recovered. No specimen has been captured. The absence of physical remains is the argument most often used to dismiss the entire category of evidence. But the forest floors of North America are ecosystems that decompose organic material with extraordinary efficiency. Bears die in these forests every day, and their remains are almost never found by humans. What has been found are tracks, thousands of them, spread across 6 decades of documentation, showing a foot structure that does not belong to any known species, showing a mid-tarsal break that the late Dr. Grover Krantz, professor of physical anthropology at Washington State University, spent his career analyzing and concluded was not replicable by a human foot under any circumstances. Something is out there. 5 cameras caught it. Nobody has explained what it is.